Hello and welcome to another Wannabe Entrepreneur, the podcast about what's really like to bootstrap a company. Today, we are back to the interviews. It's been a while since I released my last interview, but I'm really excited to share this one with you. Today's guest is Tibo. He is a returning guest here in the podcast. He was first featured in episode 122. And back then, Tweet Hunter, his startup, was just starting. Don't get me wrong, it was already showing a lot of potential. I believe that MRR, when we talked, was around the 5K, which is already much better than any of my projects so far. But no one could imagine how much this company would grow in the next year. Tibo, together with his co-founder Thomas, were able to grow his company to an evaluation of multiple millions. Then they eventually sold it to another company. And Tibo is probably, I guess, the second indie millionaire that I interview here in the podcast, being the first one, Peter Levels. This is really exciting for me. It shows that more and more of indie companies have the potential to become $1 million companies, companies that you can actually sell, companies that bring a lot of value. But I know what you're thinking. How did they take a company that was making a couple of thousand MRR to a company that was sold for multiple million in less than 2 years? In this interview, you will learn that because I asked all the details of Tibo's process growing Tweet Hunter. Everything will be laid out in this interview. I have learned a lot and I am sure that you will too. Before we start, let me thank to today's sponsor, Hivo by my good friend Luca. I've been using this tool since the beginning and it has been life-changing for my business. So if you are looking to automate your Twitter DMs or to use it as a way to generate new leads, then you might want to check out Hivo and we'll be talking more about it in today's episodes. Now, let's get started with our interview. All right, cool. I like your background. Where are you actually?
I'm in Paris right now.
You're in Paris?
I'm freezing right now. I was in Bali like a few weeks ago, and now I'm freezing in Paris.
How cold? What's the temperature?
It's -1.
Oh, yeah, that's cold. That's really cold. But is that your office?
It's my new office, like the company, L'Empire, the company who acquired us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's their office.
As you can hear, Tibo was recording this interview from his new offices. The offices belonging to the company that acquired Tweet Hunter. The name of this company is L'Empire. L'Empire is a B2B company that helps other businesses to manage their relationships. One of their most famous products is called Lemlist, which helps businesses to start conversations with their new potential leads. Last time we talked, it was September 8th, 2021. Do you remember what was the MRR of Tweet Hunter back then?
It depends because like in September, we went from like 5K to 20K. Just in September 2021. So it was like the tweet launch of Tweet Hunter.
I was listening to the interview, re-listening, and I remember you saying that you had a partnership prepared with a famous Twitter account, but you didn't mention. So it was before your partnership with how do you say JK Molina? How do you say it?
Yes, JK Molina.
And enter JK Molina or one JK Molina on Twitter. He is an influencer in the money Twitter sphere and his motto is likes ain't cash. He helps people to monetize their audience. He was a ghostwriter on Twitter and before that he was selling perfumes and t-shirts. Funny enough, JK is only 23 years old. He has been an entrepreneur from the start, and his partnership with Tibo and Thomas was game changer for the growth of Tweet Hunter. And this was my first lesson of this whole journey, something that I've never thought. A good partnership can be really game changer for the growth of a company. I want to know more about this partnership you did. So until your partnership, to with Jacob Molina, it was you and you had a co-founder with you, right? Tom, right?
Toma, yes. Yeah.
Toma. And so tell me about this reasoning. You thought, okay, this is not enough. Like we need someone to help us do this boost because you're already growing so well. Why did you decide to do this partnership?
It appeared like a shortcut for better growth, and the alignment was perfect. Like this guy, Chicken Molina, he has a course, Twitter course, and in this course, he was teaching the exact method that we were promoting with TweetHunter. The idea is like, as a writer, you need to build a swipe file, which is basically a file or a content that's actually like the best content, the best content that you should want to create. And just by looking at this great content, you will write good content. It's like if you are writing a tweet, just look at awesome tweets, a wall of them, and you will then write better tweets.
Right.
And
Okay.
he was teaching this method, and that was exactly what TweetHunter was about. So the conversation was very easy. We had the same goal, and we were ready to give away shares of the products to build something big. Like we really wanted to build something big, and the idea at the time was to get acquired in less than a year. We definitely didn't reach that.
Oh yeah, it was
still,
1 year and a half.
yeah, it made sense to work with a very big Twitter influencer to reach that goal.
Do you remember the DM you sent to Jacob Molina?
I think it was something pretty basic, like, "Hey, I'm building this thing. You want to try it? I'm looking for feedback," something like that.
Okay, so you didn't reach out with the possibility of a partnership.
No, he did. Like he answered that he loved the tool and he wanted equity
For what?
for like promoting it, and
Okay.
he kind of became like the EMO of the tool, promoting it, planning on the marketing campaigns. He was not only the influencer, he was actually working on that.
How big was his account on Twitter?
I think it was like 40K followers at the time, with a very high engagement compared
Okay.
to other people with the same number of followers. But we so like we bet on him. We knew he was growing quite fast, and he was good at selling. Like he was not
Right.
only good at getting followers, he was good at making money from what he was building. Like he was good at converting people from like a free stages to like a paid subscription or thing.
Right. So do you recall the conversation between you and Toma when you first got this option, this partnership option?
I don't know the exact things, but it was super hard to set up a contract that would protect us in case of anything that would go bad. So we talked a lot with Toma about the numbers, the percentages. It was super hard because there was basically no benchmark. Like it was super atypical to find this kind of partnership between influencer and startup founders. So we just had to build it by ourselves. And when I look at the contract right now, it's so bad. Like it's really bad. So we were quite lucky that things went well, but there was so many things that could have gone wrong.
Well, like, what was wrong about the contract?
Like basically, if GK Molina and us didn't get along on the long term, it was not very specific about what each of us could do to break or remain in the contracts, basically.
Right.
So we built it by ourselves without a lawyer, and I know that
Wow.
it's not the best thing, but at the time we didn't have any money, so we like to do this kind of thing. I remember that Thomas wanted to give more
Okay.
percentage to GK Marina because like I'm more ambitious and I always want like bigger piece of the pie.
Hmm.
But so we did find an agreement and things went well.
What was the agreement?
We I think we defined 25% for GK
Okay.
Molina, 25 of the product. So it's not really equity. It's like GK Molina had rights on the profits or the exits of Tweet Hunter, which is
Okay.
one of the product of Pony Express, the company behind it.
What if you wouldn't sell? Like, would he also get some dividends or something while it's going?
He would get like 25% of the profits that Tweet Hunter is making every month. So
Wow.
during like before we sold, the tool was highly profitable. So every month we were hiring him some money, like
Wow.
2K, 5K, 10K, etc.
It's crazy. That's a lot of percentage to give. I'm with you here. 25% to someone that you barely know just because he has 40K and a good attitude, because like 40K it's really good, but I mean you have now 50K, right? So uh there's a lot of people that have even much more than that, right?
The thing is, it's not only based on followers. GK Molina, he has like this ability to go viral quite often,
Yeah.
and every time he did, it was like 100 of subscribers for Tweet Hunter. So it's like
Wow.
he was bringing value, a lot of value.
Did he show that before signing the contract? Was he already kind of promoting, and could you somehow anticipate his impact in the
So
business?
so we made the contract in a way that um, his percentage of Twitter would go up with how many people he would bring to Tweet Hunter. So it was
Okay.
not 25% straight away. It started at zero. He ramped it to 10%, then 20, then 25. So
Got it.
it
Yeah,
was
makes
well
sense.
done in this perspective.
Yeah, yeah. When you signed that contract, do you remember that the feeling of okay, it's done? We
Yeah,
have given 25%. Were you anxious? Like, do you remember that part?
not anxious, more like demanding. Like we
Oh,
signed it, so now you have to deliver.
okay. How is that demanding, Tibo? Like, are you like micromanaging too much?
No, I'm not really micromanaging. I think I was like 10 years ago. Now I'm more like direct and straight to the point. And like
Okay,
I will ask like hard questions, but so like how many people did you bring this week? Or what did you do yesterday to help the growth or things like that?
right. Do you remember the first Twitter launch? Tell me about that process. What did you do?
GK Morin, he did a nice job at planning a launch that would not only last one day. During like a week before, he was building this FOMO about the launch. Like he was about to publish a new Twitter tool that would like change the game, change the Twitter
Right.
game. Um, People on the mailing list could just access the launch before with the discounts. Then during the launch, a lot of he managed to get a lot of people to talk about the tool on the D Day.
Okay.
And then we had like this price increase at the end of like a few days after the launch. We were planning for the price increase. So it was like the ultimate chance to get
To
Twitter for
get.
low price
Yeah.
before the price increase. And all of that together had been a great success.
What was the impact in terms of MRR?
Like from 5 to 18, I think, K
Whoa. In
in
like a
about
couple of weeks.
Yeah, in 3 weeks, 2 weeks. But what was crazier is that like what we anticipated is like after the launch we anticipated some churn and like slow down in the growth.
Hmm.
But what happened here, which was really I think more because of the product, is that word of mouth started to kick in, and
Okay.
after the launch we started having like 20% growth every month, month after month. So we went like from 20 to 25
Crazy.
to 35 to 50 quite quickly.
Ah, so it was compounding.
Yes, exactly. And the slowdown that we anticipated never happened. 25% growth month over month can get quite big quite quickly.
Yes, yes, definitely. I can imagine. I don't know about you, but for me, this strategy of getting a partnership is somehow surprising. I would never had thought about it. But if I really think about it, I've been learning from Tibo since we first talked. He was the one that introduced me to the audience first approach, and he also introduced me to a concept that back then I didn't fully understand, but now I totally get it. We need to find products that from the start have a conversion that is hard to find. Au contrary to what people normally think, your conversion normally goes down because your first clients, the early adopters, are the ones that really need your product. So if you don't get them to convert, what are the chances of your conversion actually going up? Here's Thibaut speaking about that.
It's crazy because when I mentioned this idea of shipping multiple projects and just choosing the one
Mhm.
that tick all the boxes and moving forward, we actually applied that later on with our own marketing at Twitter by just shipping a lot of side projects and during this like 18 months shipping all those free side projects actually made a huge impact on the Twitter growth. Like by many things, by just publishing more content on Twitter, some of them took off and bring a lot of people in as subscribers in the tool. And moreover, like the SEO of those tools took a lot of time to
Right.
build. But when it's here, it's awesome because it's like a constant source of new sign up for your SaaS. That just
Mhm.
you're so happy. I'm so happy right now that I published those projects like 1 year ago.
Can you give some
There is something
examples
like
of tools that you
the
built?
best time to tweet. So we analyze your account, your Twitter accounts, and your followers. So we can tell you the
Right.
best, the perfect time. It's very small. It's free. There is this the growth challenge. During 3 months, we have this platform that will track your Twitter growth, and in a leaderboard will
Right.
show how you are doing compared to the other. The goal is to motivate you to build this Twitter
Hmm.
audience. There is also we did a bunch of them for Tapio too, like post generators, tweet
Right.
generators, things like that.
By the way, for the ones that do not know, W is another company built by Thibaut and Thomas, which is basically the same as Tweet Hunter, but for LinkedIn. Here's him speaking about it.
You cannot be the best tool if you are doing a tool for Twitter and LinkedIn at the same time. And we really wanted to have the best tool for Twitter and the best tool for LinkedIn. So it had to be two different products. So each product would perfectly fit in the constraints of the social media.
Just to summarize things up until now. So far, in the last 2 years, Thibaut and the team have built Tweet Hunter, Taplio, made an amazing partnership, and sold the company. The growth of these companies combined was enormous. Now, my question was how many people were actually working in this? I was very surprised to learn that for most of the time, there were only three: Thibaut, Thomas, and JK Molina. They only actually hired their first developer freelancer much longer along the road. Here's me asking him when is the best time to hire some external help?
I really think the later the better.
Okay.
Except if it's like a key skill that you need which it's quite strategic to your business, like design or I don't know, like
Okay.
finance stuff, or I don't know.
So up until then, you never hired anyone like freelance or something?
No,
Design, everything, it was you.
design was Thomas.
Okay.
The building was me.
Let this be a lesson to all the VC startups out there. You don't need a big team to make an amazing product with an excellent growth. Everything seemed to be going amazingly for Tibo and the team. So I wanted to ask more about the anxiety. I know that they were probably not anxious about money or the success of the product, but I'm sure as indie makers that they probably had low points as well. I remember when I asked you back then, what was your biggest fear? You said that your biggest fear, what was keeping you up at night, was the possibility of everything ending. That like you couldn't keep up with this growth.
And this got much worse
Yeah.
when Elon Musk started to get in the business.
Oh yeah.
Like, yeah, doing so. It's still the case right now. But we are maybe a little bit less worried. But there was this entire drama with Elon Musk buying Twitter and him changing the rules quite often. And from the very beginning of this story, we have been super worried about just him killing our business.
Right.
It's super scary, like that. It can happen every day.
He did that already, right? With a bunch of apps.
Exactly.
How do you protect yourself from that?
So we did by starting Tapio for LinkedIn. It's a diversification. We replicated the same influencer strategy. We worked with Alex Berman for a much shorter time because of the acquisition. We started working with him on March 2022, and it ended with the acquisition.
Okay.
But
Interesting
yeah,
that you like replicate basically the same recipe.
yep.
I mean, that's really smart. That's really smart. You have something that works really well on Twitter, and then you basically do the same for another platform. Like, did you have to change something? Are there things that like worked really well on Twitter but didn't work on LinkedIn?
Uh, yeah, a bunch of things like LinkedIn. The technical of LinkedIn is much harder. Their API is a nightmare to work with.
Okay.
So on the product side, a lot of things had to change. On the marketing side, it's hard to tell. Like something that we didn't anticipate is that we thought that on LinkedIn it would grow much faster than Twitter,
Okay.
and it was really not the case. And I think that's something that we underestimate is the impact of this posted with Tweet Hunter below every tweet that
Right.
used to be present and it's not anymore. And on LinkedIn, you don't have this. So when something is posted on LinkedIn, you don't know the tool that has been used to push it.
Right. I didn't know. Can you see that on Twitter? What
Not
tool was
anymore.
used to post?
It was the case, but not anymore.
So actually, that leads me to another question, which is the viral loop, which is something that I've learned to be a very important part of a business, especially if you want to grow really fast. Something that, for example, a lot of Twitter tools have, right? Like Blackmagic, for instance, and the Snapper tool that he also made and everything. What was that your marketing loop? The little sentence saying "made by Tweet Hunter"?
I think so. Yes, I think so. And also, um, a happy user of Twitter is a user that is growing on Twitter. So he's actually
Right.
having an audience. So if he's successful, he will talk about us.
But why? Like, do you do something for them to talk about you?
Not really. No, they just do because they just do.
Right. They'll be like, "Yeah, this is incredible. I've doubled my audience in a week or something."
Something that
Okay.
that we did, which I think kind of helped, is having a very good customer support. So until very late in the history of Twitter, the support button in Tweet Hunter was redirecting to my DMs on Twitter.
Okay. Right.
And I was trying to be very fast at answering DMs. And when someone was suggesting something and it was quickly doable, I was trying to just do it very fast, shipping the updates, and tell the guy, "Hey, yeah, your idea is actually a very good one. I just added this in Tweet Hunter." And
Okay.
people were very happy about that and was tweeting about how we were listening to users, which is
Hmm.
true. And maybe I don't know the truth about it, but maybe it helped with the growth.
Definitely did. A happy user is a user that will be talking about you and saying great things. Did you notice a difference once Twitter removed the little caption saying published by Tweet Hunter?
It's very hard to say because they did it a little bit before Christmas.
Okay.
So yes, there was a slowdown in the growth, but it's hard to say if it's because of Christmas or because of that.
Mm.
And the thing is, like from the very beginning of January, the growth started to like skyrocket.
Okay.
So I don't know about it.
You.
And the growth is strong right now, but there are so many things that could be the source of that. It's like beginning of the year, so everyone wants to start new things for the new year.
Yeah.
We started this growth challenge on Twitter, and it's working quite well. And there
Mhm.
was the acquisition announcements, which again fueled the growth.
I think the acquisition will definitely bring a lot of eyeballs to Tweet Hunter because suddenly an indie maker is selling for millions, right? So a lot of people will definitely look at it. When you did your first launch with Twitter, with JK Molina, were your doubts immediately dissipated when you saw, okay, yeah, this was a good bet?
Yeah, very fast. Yes, I think a
Okay.
few weeks after, we were very happy about the results. It was now a question of okay, um, the launch went great, but we didn't give you 25% just for this launch. We gave you 25% for for growing the tool to like to for forever. So I was
Right.
very afraid that GK felt he did the job and would stop doing any other thing. But yeah, it went well. So of course his involvement went a little bit down, but he was still promoting the tool by email and by and on Twitter, and he was making a good job at it. One
Mhm.
of his key missions was to hire a lot of affiliates for Twitter, and he did. Like he did a good job.
So did you kind of move all the marketing efforts to JK and you would focus more in the user support and building new features?
It was a shared role between GK Molina and Thomas.
Right.
Thomas is more like the brand owner.
Okay.
He's a very good, like he helped me with all the design. He did all the design. I was like just implementing it.
Right.
He has a very good vision also for the products.
How good is your relationship with Toma, like business wise?
It's very
Do
good because like we know each other for a while. We founded our first startup together, and we
okay.
failed together.
Uh-huh.
So like we know how each of us will react when things go bad, and we know that we are good at some things and we're not at some other things, and we really know how to talk to each other and to like be honest about things,
Okay.
which I think is super important with the co-founder.
So far, Tibo has spoken about all the key pieces that were determined for Tweet Hunter's success. Do you still remember all of them? Let me do a quick recap. First of all, a great product with Big the Band. Then, an amazing partnership with a Twitter influencer. Another amazing partnership with his own co founder, someone that is very used to work with. And last but not least, the marketing loop and creating a lot of products that brought this nice SEO juice. Now, let's ask him to put everything together and to explain how the growth developed. But before, as promised, here is a word from our sponsor, hivoe.com. And do not skip this part just yet, because I believe this can be really useful for your own INI journey. So, as I said in the previous episode, Hivoe is a tool that allows you to generate new leads from Twitter DMs. In the last episode, we spoke how we can use Hivoe to send bulk messages to everyone. There'll be a link in the description for that snippet that you can just re-listen. Today, we are going to speak about one of my favorite features, the feature that actually got me to use Hivoe in the first place. This is called the automatic welcome messages. I was actually growing my Twitter back then, and I wanted to engage with everyone that was just following me. But, people just follow me from multiple time zones, and I'm not always aware. So sometimes I would just forget and not engage with my followers, which was a pity. I wanted to automate this since forever, but I didn't know how. I just wanted to find a service that would do this. And I found Luca, the creator of Hivoe. And Hivoe was exactly this. It was a simple way to set up a welcome message. Now, there are many other features that are super useful, but today, as I said, let's speak just about this. Signing up in Hivoe is very simple. You just go there and sign up with Twitter. It's a no-brainer, really easy. You can do it as well for free. And then you go to the welcome message tab. On the side, you just go under automations, welcome message, and now it's very simple. You just write your message, as simple as that. And here is the trick. Try to make this message as personalized as possible, because if people know that they are talking to a bot, they probably won't engage. So I always try to make it funny, personalized, and always end up with an open question. Here's mine. Hey, thanks for your follow. Can I ask you what was the reason that motivated you to follow my account? Need to make sure I don't disappoint. And I have to say, a lot of people answer, and most people do not know that they are talking to an automated message. And even the ones that do, I get this sometimes, they don't mind. They know that I will be answering them afterwards. This is the best conversation starter, and I have been learning so much from my followers. This is a great North Star for me to know what I should tweet more, what my audience want to hear, and as well to make great connections. I have met a lot of people through these automatic DMs. I highly recommend you, and you can just go and set up this for free. You have, I think, a certain quota of messages you can send for free, and you just have to go to hivoe.com, sign up, and in 5 minutes you have everything set up. And believe me, it's really worth it. We do have a discount for you. You can use OFF10, OFF10, once you sign up, and you get a discount just for you, the WBE listener. Thank you, hivoe.com and Luca, for sponsoring this episode. All the links together with discounts are in the show notes of this episode, so just make sure to go there and check it out. Now, let's go back to Tibo explaining how the growth of Tweet Hunter developed after the partnership.
So September 2021, we reached 20K with the launch. Then I think November 2021, we did the Product Hunter launch with a bunch of new features.
Right.
I don't know the exact numbers, but I know that in January, we started the year at 35K, thanks to the Product Hands launch and the few other things that we did. During the winter, like January, February, March, we had the growth challenge, Twitter growth challenge. It helped a lot, bring a lot of people, and I think by the end of the winter, we were at like 25K. 60K MR.
And from this, how much is actual profit? What are your expenses really? Because it's only 3 of you, right?
So at the time we hired a developer. Most of the expenses are the AI costs, some server costs, but basically we were like 50% profitable.
Wow. So 50% of this would go for you.
Yeah, basically. Actually, just go to the company and stay there because we didn't know what to do with the money.
So how would you pay yourself?
So a piece of that would go to us, and
so
we started.
You define the salary.
Yeah, we started paying ourselves a salary on January 2022.
Okay.
And we we increased this salary every month at this as long we just told ourselves that we would just increase the salary as long as Twitter is growing. It was we had this high motivation of
Yeah.
just making the growth to continue to just increase our salary.
Does one define a salary? Like your first salary, how do you define that? It's like, okay, the minimum we need to live, or
Yeah, we started
okay,
with that. We started with that, and then we increased it based on the growth of the tool.
right. And how was your lifestyle while like this whole process? Like, were you working hard? Were you traveling? Because I know you're also digital nomad. Like, how was your lifestyle?
So I have been nomad for like 2 years. Been to Thailand for 6 months. Just coming back from Bali, where I have been for the last 6 months. So my main expenses are like flights
Okay,
and accommodation, like
right.
finding a house, renting a house, and but the lifestyle itself didn't really change. Like my wife has the same salary, so we just try to keep it balanced and not go crazy at all. So
Mm-hmm.
basically, I didn't really change anything. I don't know why, but the thing is, I don't
what
really need money.
what about work? Like, do you take time for you to spend time with your wife to like enjoy life, or like how long do you work? Like, do you think you work too much?
I don't know if I work too much because, like, at when I was in Bali, I was my work day basically ended at like 4 or 5 in the afternoon, so it was not
Okay.
that crazy. I'm definitely working more when I am in Paris. I don't know why, but like I feel like
Huh.
the city make you want to work more because there's like
Interesting.
nothing to do outside. But I have been very lucky because I have a daughter too, and I had a lot of time for like
Oh, that's great.
2 years to just enjoy life with her.
Yeah.
Being in Bali or in Thailand was awesome. Like there's so many things to do with kids there.
So it's possible to be a dad and have a business, an indie business.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. So I'm a strong believer that if you don't do any meetings and if you have like 4 hours per day of deep work, you can achieve a lot on
Okay.
those time. I was trying to work like 6 hours per day of deep work, and I think that's enough to do a lot. But I will not lie. Like I was also working a lot doing evenings.
Hmm.
My wife is a hard worker too, so we get along on that.
Yeah.
But I'm happy I
But
had time with my daughter.
right, because the daughter, I guess, doesn't care if you are a hard worker or not, right? Like you, uh,
Yeah,
she will need you.
exactly. She just want to go to the pool.
Yeah. When did the conversation about selling started popping up?
So in like January or February, we had this talk with Thomas that we weigh out our goal of reaching 10k MRR was long gone. So it was about we should like start working on selling. And the crazy
Right.
thing is like we hired a guy, a broker, to help us sell the company, and he was
Okay.
a really good guy. He did a good job, but it didn't work.
What is this? What is a broker? What is
it's
like?
it's like
How do you pay? What is his role?
it's like a guy who knows a lot of big companies, and who will introduce you to those big companies in the context of this acquisition.
Okay.
It's super helpful because he will like package all the numbers, build a very nice deck, and he has like good relationships with a lot of very like very interesting people. But all the companies that we started talking to, they were quite old companies, and
Okay.
like companies like HubSpot, very
Right.
big companies, and we had very different culture. Like it was hard to understand each other. We were still quite small, and all of them, they were asking us to stay 2 years in business, and it was super hard for Toma and I to accept that we would need to move on from our plan of just sell and
Right.
build something new right away, to stay 2 years with a buyer which has a very different culture than us.
Right.
We kept exploring more options,
Mm-hmm.
and there was this guy, like Guillaume, a guy. I was with him in middle school when we were like
Right.
12. I had like reached out to him a year before about just like talking about our businesses, because I knew that he created something quite awesome, which was Lemlist, a cold email outreach tool.
Ah, so your friend is the founder of this company.
Yep, exactly.
Got it.
And it was like, I think in a year, it was like the third or fourth time we had lunch together.
Mm-hmm.
And I told him about the acquisition and how it was going, and how all the company we were talking to were not really a good fit. And I think like he didn't think about it before, but for him it was obvious that it was a super interesting deal, because Guillaume Guillaume built his entire company based on personal brand. Like
Right.
he as a founder built a very strong brand on LinkedIn. He's quite active on Instagram, YouTube too, and he started doing a bit of Twitter. And he knows that a personal brand will make you sell 10 times more. It's it's
Yes.
the it's the new way to sell. And he has so much trust in this that he really wanted to acquire a company. And the conversation was so different compared to every other company we talked to
Yeah.
before, because he has the same culture, same age, same language. We wanted to go in the same direction.
Right.
He was understanding every aspect of our business. We had basically the same clients, so the deal was super easy to build together. And I think in 2 weeks on WhatsApp,
On WhatsApp.
we
That's
yeah,
incredible.
we defined all the details, and it was a match.
Was it some details of that was harder for you to let go? That you didn't want to let go and you had to?
um I don't know, Lord. I know. I think we are quite happy about the deal. One thing is that one thing that was quite important for us is that the growth is so strong that we don't know how the tool is going to grow under 2 years,
Yeah.
and most of the money will come as an earnout, meaning that we get a small percentage of this money upfront when the acquisition is signed, and most of the money will come based on objectives, on goals,
Right.
on growth goals. So it was okay for us, but something that was really important is that if we would go way above the goals, we wanted more money. Like if the goal was to go to 10 million in annual revenue, and we told Guillaume, but what if we go 20?
Right.
What if we go 25? And he was really awesome about accepting that the deal was uncapped, meaning that we can go to infinite numbers, and we would just get a piece of that.
That's crazy.
So
That's
it's like the next 2 years will not be easy for us. So, like it adds a lot of pressure on us, because like we have very big goals, and the higher we go, the the more money we'll make out of this acquisition.
Right. Can you give some details on the acquisition? Is that something that you share? Like how much was it? And
So I shared a bunch of that on Twitter. It's
right.
basically it's a 8 figures deal, so it's above 10 million.
Okay, because when I was checking J.K. Molino when he was speaking about this, he said around 1.8 million, something like this.
He said like 1.4. That's
1.4. Yeah.
that's the upfront money that
Ah.
Tweet Hunter was sold for.
So
But most of the money is coming after that based on goals. And he shared only the 1.4 because that's the money that he gets shared on.
so he doesn't get any more.
No,
From
because
there.
it was the buyer, L'Empire, wanted like a clean state for the product, and they wanted us as product leaders to stay
Right.
on for 2 years. But there was no real point on keeping the influencer deal. So the influencer deal broke, and like GK Molina is not working with us anymore.
Okay.
We still have very good relationships.
So just for me to make sure I understood, you get this 1.4 million upfront, which you share between you, J.K. Molina, and Toma.
Yep.
Right? And then after that, after 2 years, depending on how much your company is making, you will define a price or based on
Yeah,
that, like,
something
and
like
that's
that.
why you say it's 8 figure
Yep,
because
exactly.
okay, got it. So I guess my question is, how does it feel to be an indie millionaire?
It feels strange, but it's we worked on this deal for like months, so we were kind of prepared for that. So it's not really a surprise. It's like then you get the money on your account and you have no idea about what to do with this money. So like it feels a bit weird to say that, but it's like it just adds a bunch of new problems. And for now I'm not really enjoying having money because I just don't want to spend it because I don't want to have a crazy lifestyle. So I don't know what I'm
Okay.
gonna do.
Wow. Wow. That's interesting.
It's funny because like I don't know if you heard about that, but I have just been selected for like Maker of the Year by Product
Oh
Hunt,
yes,
and
congrats.
the news arrived like Tuesday this week, and I was like much more happy about that, even if there was like no money involved, and I don't know why, but the fact that it was like totally unexpected and based on like
Yeah.
just an award, like I don't know, maybe I'm just dumb, but
I
I'm so
mean,
good.
you definitely deserve it because I don't know many indie makers that are millionaires. Like, we have Peter Levels, right? And then I don't know, at least the ones from my Twitter bubble. I don't know many that maybe some of them would be able to sell their companies for some million. Yeah, because I don't actually. How do you sell a company, right? So imagine you have a company making 10k, sorry, 100k ARR. Is it like 5x, 10x, 2x? What is the x?
I think it's really weird because like people tend like Twitter especially tend to make you think that there is very specific standards for setting the company. But
Right.
the thing is like with our talk with L'Empire and Guillaume, it seems like we can do pretty much whatever we want. Like we manage to sell for like 10 times our annual revenue, but at the same time it was the risk was very low for the buyer because of the deal structure, because there is a high earnouts and a very
Right.
low upfront money. It was a win-win for both of us.
Right. So it's not as simple as, okay, 10 times our ARR done. You
Yeah,
actually have a
exactly.
lot of constraints.
Yeah,
Yeah, it makes little sense.
yeah.
When, okay, I get it that you were preparing this deal for a long time, but at some point you realize that you were able to fulfill the dream, like selling the company, making millions. Do you remember when you figured out that?
I think I think it was when like during the acquisition, our lawyers were were arguing about very small details of the deal. We agreed with pretty much everything with Guillaume, but our lawyer didn't agree between each other.
Okay.
And I think it was when our lawyers finally found an agreement with those little details that then like yes, I realized that it was gonna happen, and there was like no more any obstacles in front of us. So
Describe that feeling for someone that has a $500 MRR.
maybe maybe you will be disappointed, but like I didn't feel I didn't feel a lot because like selling your company is also selling your baby. So
Right.
I'm still a little bit scared about what this baby will become and where it will go. It's like a piece of me that goes away. So you cannot feel 100% happy about it. You are also feeling that you are losing a piece of yourself. So
Right.
it's a lot of mixed feelings.
Uh-huh. Are you afraid that you will never have a Tweet Hunter like product? That this was a once in a lifetime kind of deal?
Yeah, so I talked with this very successful founder. He had this very successful sale, and then he started building something new again, and something unexpected happened. It's like the product he sold were super successful, but when he started building something new, it was like, okay, how can I make something as good as what I did before? And
Right.
he started getting into this very depressing state where he started feeling that he would never build something as good as he did before. And during like
Interesting.
6 months to 1 year, he didn't really succeed in building something useful or relevant. And I'm super afraid of feeling the same. Before, when you start, no one is expecting you. If you sold your company, the next thing that you will build and ship, people will be looking at you, or at least you will feel that way. You will feel like people are looking at you, and it's not a
True.
good feeling. Like you are, it's I think it's gonna block you to shipping crappy things, and you need to do it again. You know what I mean?
I totally, well, I understand. It's funny because the way you're talking, it makes me not want to sell my company for millions. But at the same time, you have the recipe. Don't you feel that you have the recipe? Because I mean, you failed a lot before, and probably you'll fail again, right? But you understand the recipe of what it takes to build an indie company. Don't you think that with this recipe, you, by just following it and like putting all the pressure apart, you will somehow achieve, and of course it doesn't matter how much money you make, right? Because that's not how we should measure a company. We should measure a company about with the value it brings to the users, right? But if you have that recipe, can't you just like replicate it?
I have no idea. I have a recipe. Like this is the first time ever that I sell a product for more than for me like millions. So I think we will see in a few years if I have a recipe or not. But for now, I'm just a guy who applied one technique and it was successful. And the thing is like Twitter is full of survival bias. Like people who did something one way and it worked for them. So this one way should be the way to go.
Right.
What I did is not the only way, and there are like multiple ways to build successful startups.
Mm-hmm.
So I will need a couple more tries to see if it's really a successful way.
Do you feel like a fraud still, like, do you feel that like maybe this was a fluke, that you were lucky? Because it's interesting that you said that you were more happy with the fact that you got this award of me being the maker of the year. Or that for me makes total sense. But somehow this proves that you are not a fraud. Is that where somehow connected, that you think, well, maybe this was just like, now I need to prove that I can replicate this?
Of course, we worked hard, and like the fact that we were constantly shipping new things is really based on hard work. And but the thing is, we worked on an ID that we were at the very beginning of a trend, like personal branding, which exploded in the last 2 years. So we were
Right.
at the perfect spot and at the perfect moment. And we triggered this luck, like because of the early process that we adopted 2 years
Exactly.
ago,
Yeah.
shipping one project every week for like 4 months. We triggered it, like we made it, we optimized, we created a system that was optimized for us to work on the best projects. And but still we got a bit lucky, I think.
I think lucky is always important, right? We
Yeah,
always need a little bit of luck, but you also, as you said, it's something that you build. Luck is something that you can also build for, and you are ready for it once the lucky strikes. One thing for sure, there's one issue. Maybe you don't remember this already, but one of the biggest issues of being indie maker is like the lack of money, right? Like the stress of, oh no, I need to make money, I need to make ends meet. I feel that like once you put that stress aside, the whole process becomes much more pleasant. Don't you feel that?
yeah, I agree very much. Honestly, like if you are working solo, just make like 1K or 2K MR, and then you can just be more relaxed and build
Yeah.
more for yourself, have fun, optimize for fun.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, if you do not have a crazy lifestyle, it's actually quite easy to build savings and then try to just quit your job and start being an indie maker. And it's
Right.
also something that you can do on the side, like build with a full-time job. It's not easy, but I think you can do
Yeah.
it.
I think it's definitely not easy. Like, I think you are definitely underestimating what you have achieved.
I think you can validate as a side project, and then once you have validated, you may need to go full-time.
Right. Yeah. 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 I think for sure it's not easy. There's a lot of things that you know already that maybe you don't even notice, but a lot of things that are just intuition for you that a lot of people, like, I think the one where you decide to kill a project early on, it's a perfect example of something that most people don't do. Most people will work in a project for 6, 7, a year without making any money, trying like their best to get some users, which is something that you don't do. Um, what is, so now you're doing this for 2 years, right? So that's the goal. You're going to continue doing this for 2 years. Is that an issue for you? Because now you don't get to build something new.
I thought it was an issue when we were talking with very old companies that was not really aligned with us. Working with Lempire for now has been super nice. So for now, it's not an issue, and I don't think it will be. We'll see. Like
Okay.
they are super nice, and they understand that we are entrepreneurs and we need to be free. Like we value our freedom, and they respect that.
Right.
So for now, it's a match.
Do you have freedom to start other projects as well?
Yeah, we don't have to ask. We can do
Okay.
it.
So what is next? What is next for Tibo? Do you also want like help the indie community? Because like, I don't know if you realize that, but this is like a milestone for this community, right? Like, because startup VC founded startups, we already know that they can sell for these millions, but they also get a lot of millions as investment, right? But seeing these indie companies now being able to sell for millions is something that it's for me groundbreaking, right? Do you see yourself in a role where you can help this indie community to get bigger and improve?
I have started. I would love to do that more. Like I have started by investing in one of the indie makers that I love. It's a Banu on Twitter
Oh yeah,
building
no,
a Feather. Like
yeah,
it's a blogging solution based on
right,
Notion. And I would love to do it more. Like finding very interesting indie makers and invest in them. It's not easy because a lot of them don't need money, and I respect that. And on the other side, a lot of other people are really early stages. It's hard to know if their product is suitable or not. So I would love to do it more. It's really not easy because like the VC model is, I think it's not. There's no it doesn't fit with indie makers.
yeah.
So they
So
would
what model
need.
fits?
Yeah, exactly. That's a good question. I have no idea.
For me, I think it's the JK Molina model. Like for me, it's
Maybe.
like
Yeah.
you have 50K followers plus a Twitter product. Invest on Ivory from for instance the community from Luca.
Yeah. So you're basically saying that indie makers need distribution more than money, and I
Yeah,
think that's true.
definitely. That's the biggest issue. Like we don't want to give equity away for money, right? But we would give a portion of our MRR for distribution. Like, of course, why not,
Yeah,
right?
I agree.
Cool. I think that that's definitely something that I'm excited to see what you'll be able to do with that. And thank you so much. Thank you so much for sharing again your journey here in the WB podcast. It's incredible, really. I was checking, like, yeah, September we had a chat. You're making 2K or 3K, and now selling for millions. It's really incredible. It's really motivating. So thank you so much for being here again and to share your journey.
Well, thank you, Thiago, for having me. It's always a pleasure.
And this was the end of my conversation with Tibo. I have to say that this podcast, starting this and having the chance to speak with so many other makers, has been life changing for me. It's such a learning experience, and I am really, really happy to have started this about 2 years ago. I hope that you also learned alongside with me in this podcast. And if you do, please make sure to share this with your friends. And if you want to contribute for this podcast growth as well, you can become a member of the WB Space. It's my community for indie makers, community where Luca, the founder of Hivui, is a member, and a lot of us are just there supporting each other. It costs $10 per month, and you can join, and at the same time you'll be supporting this podcast. The link will also be in the show notes. I am so happy to see startups or indie companies developing like this, to raising to the point of being in $1 million valuation or more. This just proves that our community, the indie community, has a lot of potential, and I want to see more of you reaching this valuation. And I also want to see myself, I guess, getting there. So I will be always sharing my journey here in the WB podcast and interviewing other makers. Now, I hope that you enjoyed this episode. Again, thank you, Hivui, for sponsoring the podcast. If you want to get and try out Hivui and get our discounts, just make sure to check out the show notes. And as well, everything will be there together with links and everything that you need. This was another Wannabe Entrepreneur. See you next time.